8:30, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Item 3 is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Anyone wanting to speak during this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. Any requested action items must be scheduled for a future meeting date. And I don't see anybody here that has a comment. We'll move on to item 4, which is the approval of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda? Any corrections?
We need to add an executive session in accordance with SDCL 125-2-3, consulting with legal counsel.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other comments or questions? Comments, questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 5 is the consent agenda. We have approval of the minutes with documents, approval of travel request, approval of personnel action notices with documents, approval of cellular authorizations, and approval of the human services report. Is there any comments or questions? Any comments or questions on any of those? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, and one additional chance for comments. Hearing none. All those, I will call the roll, I'm sorry.
Pierce.
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6 is routine business, approval of the claims, and you'll have those on your report here. The claims plus the fire premium refund, August Department of Revenue, version 8/10/2020, and September cell phones.
There was also another claims packet that I handed out this morning on the sheriff's sale that was done last week.
And sheriff's sale. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any additional comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Boersma.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And item B is one of our favorite moments, recognition of employees' anniversaries. We try and do this occasionally, so we have 3 of them here today, and Commissioner Jensen will present those certificates. His turn to present. First, we'll have Linda come up, Linda Gross.
This is Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Linda Gross on the first day of September 2020 by the Brookings County Commission in recognition of 15 years of dedicated, exceptional service in the Brookings County Highway Department. Congratulations.
We have to pose for the photo op. Thank you, Linda. Next is Melissa Walsh. It's 5 years.
Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Melissa Walsh on this first day of September 2020 by Brookings County Commission in recognition of 5 years of dedicated, exceptional service in the Brookings County Department of Equalization.
Thank you. And Raylyn Marr. Raylyn, come on up, please. 15 years.
Certificate of Appreciation is presented to Raylyn Marr on the first day of September 2020 by the Brookings County Commission in recognition of 15 years of dedicated, exceptional service in the Brookings County Development Department. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all 3 of you. Thank you for coming up and receiving your certificates. Item C is our department head reports, and we'll start with the highway with Brian.
Good morning. I didn't get this to Stacy until later. and I know that she's got a copy of it for you, but we did receive 3 of the 6 grants that we applied for, totaling $103,800 for the prelim grants that we applied for, and I didn't have that on my report.
And these
There
are
was
from
the handout, the DOT handout that is
Right
sitting
here.
in front of you this morning.
Gotcha. So the state, right?
Yeah. And these 2 structures, or the 2 of the structures are up by the power plant, and another one of the structures is on a township road. So,
The 2 structures by the power plant, are they the ones heading east on 36
yeah, on
there?
36, yep.
So were these preliminary grants?
Yep, prelim grants.
Yep.
To get the engineering work done for them, and to follow up, I know we had discussed that earlier, but they don't expire, the prelim work that's done. They just may ask for additional info at the time of design. So the information that's gathered doesn't expire.
So on the preliminary grant, if we do that, this is for next year, right?
Yeah,
If we did the preliminary grant, or preliminary and work on these next year, when would it be anticipated that the work on the bridges would be done?
it depends on how we schedule it in the 5-year plan. I know that some of them, like the structure north of Bruce, with our cap, we wouldn't have been eligible unless we matched more money. So that's basically what it's boiling down to right now is our $4.3 million cap and our match. Depends on where we adjust those numbers, because 2 of the structures next year we're matching 50%. Just because we got to stay under our cap.
But these will show up on our 5-year report when we talk about that. We'll
Yep.
do that scheduling stuff.
And the 3 that we didn't get will get taken off the 5-year plan or pushed down to the next year to continue applying for them. But fairly competitive. I know I looked at the report fairly in detail because there's percentages all the way across the board, all the way up to 50%, obviously to 80% match. So I mean, the counties are starting to match more dollars on these, making it more competitive.
How many preliminary grants do we have completed that have yet to be, that we haven't applied for the actual bridge replacement or
I
repair?
believe it's 7 or 8
We're up to that many?
right now.
Yeah.
Because last year, if you remember, we got 7 of the 8.
That's
So
what
yeah,
I was
I know
kinda
that
wondering.
number fairly well. Because prior to that, the only one that we had prelim work done on was the structure north of Bruce and the structure on the County Road 12. So,
So do you think we should hold off on any more preliminary grants? Because that's 7 projects that we have kind of in the queue that we're going to try to fit
that was
in.
kind of where I'm hoping to be, because each of those bridges is gonna score differently. And we may have to look at putting more of our percentage from our own dollars to make those projects happen, just because of the big score.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna be looking at that in detail too, because now that we're starting to complete some of these obviously larger structures over the Big Sioux River, these project costs are gonna come down, so we may look at doing more bridges, but it just won't be so costly to do one structure. Because if, you know, with the last year and a half since I've been here, that'll be a total of 4 structures over the Big Sioux River.
Yeah. And those are usually $2 million structures. Now we can maybe focus on some $800,000 structures,
Yeah,
$600,000.
yeah. So we may be able to look at doing 1 or possibly 2 compared to just sticking to 1.
One, yeah.
The two bridges on South Highway 77, those, will we be paying for those this year, or will that go into
Yep.
next year?
There'll be, and I'll talk about that in my report here,
Okay,
but we'll be looking at extending the majority of our funding. I can't say it will be all of our funds to pay for that project, but we'll be, Stacy and I and Vicky will be monitoring that.
and that'll stay on our cap for 4 years after this year?
Yes.
Did I remember that right? Okay.
Yep. But those are also started from 2 years ago. So we're all, those would come off of our cap in 2 years.
They will. It isn't when we get the money, it's when we get the grant?
I think, I could have to verify, but I believe that's when we get the grant, that's when it expires,
Okay, that'd be
after the
good to know.
grant's been awarded, but I'll have to make sure with the powers that be in Pier. They keep changing the rules on us. I know one of the emails that I got in correspondence to this is we had some extra work, such as soil borings added into the cost for this, and the DOT is no longer participating in that, those costs, and I didn't receive that email until yesterday afternoon. So what we applied for originally and what we got awarded was about 5,000 or 6,000 difference. We're not talking a huge amount, but that's still some of the things, the rules are ever so changing. So following up on that, like Leanne mentioned, the Structures South, I visited them last week, and they're working on the final cofferdam, bent 2, the south bent. They're driving pile this week, followed by the footings and the cap. The south head wall's all formed up and prepped for concrete, and talking with Ritterhouse and the contractor, they're still anticipating the early October for the deck pour. So once we get that deck poured, they have to wait, the 28 days to finalize the grading and the asphalts. We're anticipating that work still to be substantially completed by November 1st, as mentioned earlier.
Will they be able to get the approach work all done, you feel, or?
That's what the goal is. We're hoping for some nice weather, and that with any luck, we'll be meeting that goal of November 1st to have everything kind of wrapped up and opened up out there. So,
Long time coming.
yeah, it's I know the contractor, once they can get the deck pour going, they're gonna throw a herd at it. So that's gonna be the biggest thing, is getting it all formed up and poured with some decent weather. So that's what I have for an update on those two structures. Brookings County Road 46 over 209th, or 209th Street, and Brookings County 26, 215th. DOT's still working on them with the epoxy deck seals, and they were looking at having that open last week, but looking at those, they're still closed. So I don't know where they're sitting on that, but I know with the cooler temperatures, I believe that epoxy they can apply with temperatures below ambient 70 degrees. So hopefully they can get that done tomorrow. Sounds like the weather's supposed to be decent tomorrow. And one of the things that we've been working on with the weed department is spraying cattails within the county right-of-ways. They started spraying cattails at the beginning of August, and a couple weeks ago we got out with our boom mower and started mowing down intersections. I know we've received a lot of comments prior to us getting them cleared away with the mower, but they have been getting addressed around the county. It's finally drying up. We can reach out there a little farther to get that done. Not only the areas just south of Brookings, but kind of scattered around the county where we got sloughs sitting next to the road. We've been getting out and getting them mowed down, not only before winter, but for safety, because you can't see around the intersection, so. 8/17, we began placing shoulder material on County Road 8, which was part of our 2019 asphalt overlay program. I've been working with the local pit owner and been working with the Brookings landfill in order to procure material for that. Because those got overlaid last year, but they never got shoulder material, so we got kind of a drop off there, so we're trying to get that addressed. And then following that, I know one of the projects that happened quite a while ago was County Road 25. We're gonna be looking at getting shoulders on those, and that overlay was completed all the way back and started in 2011 and completed in 2012, so that road needs it. Yesterday was a prime example of my next note here. Efforts are needed in the short term for a few structures around the county that have some significant erosion due to extended periods of high water. Putting a plan together, working with Banner on a priority list for those structures so we can address the issue while the water is low. And as Banner continues their inspection, prime example yesterday, I don't know if anybody received any phone calls, but we temporarily closed a structure on 213th west of Western Avenue to address an issue that was brought forth by the engineer that he felt was a little more of an emergency, but we did not have to close the structure, but we did get that addressed yesterday, so it was closed temporarily for a few hours. And then, like I mentioned in my report here, as he continues to get his inspections done, that we'll have to continue to address issues that arise there. Nothing majorly structurally, but we wanted to catch it before it became major. So that's why we got out yesterday right away and addressed it according to his recommendations. So that was done yesterday. I know we didn't have any road closed signs up. We basically just had the bridge blocked off and made sure traffic wasn't going over that structure while we were working on it, but it was temporary. Looking at finishing up the fine details of that today, so there won't be any closures now, just doing some finish work under the bridge. But there's some other issues around that we need to address, but they aren't quite as critical as the one that we had to look at yesterday. Our 2020 chip seal program, we were brooming the routes for the second time in preparation for the fog seal. Finally got the rain that I was hoping to get on it, and then we're looking at getting that done as we have time here. We'll have a crew and pilot car, and it'll be kind of a fluid operation there, but we'll be taking care of the fog seal. Followed by that, we'll have the 80/20 striping on those to complete the chip seal for 2020. 8/24, I attended the Brookings ad hoc drainage committee meeting, and I know Larry was there and Bob and Leanne, so they'll have a report on that, maybe a little more detail than I'd have. Other than that, we've been hauling the gravel to various areas around the county. Now that our gravels have firmed up a little bit, we can do more good than we do damage. We've been hauling gravel all spring and summer, but we felt in the spring we were damaging the roads a little bit more than if we would have just stayed off of them and just got out there what we absolutely needed to. We received notification on 8/25 from the DOT for the structure north of Bruce with commission approval. We would advertise the weeks of September 14th and September 21st and open bids on September 29th. The bid tabulation and engineer's estimate would be presented to the commission for the recommendation for action on bid proposal on October 6th to return to the DOT. Is that something that you guys are up for? We can go ahead and advertise for that.
And would you just tell us again, because I can't remember, is this one of the big program?
Yes.
And what are we anticipating the cost is going to be and how much of that is ours?
We're slated at 50%, and I don't have the number right in front of me for that. I'm a little ill-prepared, but I can get that to you.
Thank you.
What about the Sinai Bridge there, the Sinai Road? When is that gonna bid let?
So, okay, we'll touch base on that. We're administering the advertisements and the construction administration for this structure. The Sinai Bridge, because of the changed requirements for the scour and the additional costs that were going to be incurred for that, the DOT, since they had awarded the project to us at 50% for the original anticipated amount, with the changed requirements, the DOT is going to absorb those extra costs. So they're going to be doing the advertisement and the construction administration for that one. And we're going to be looking at an October letting for that.
Okay.
So
But this year yet.
That's tentative. I can't promise anything,
But it's
but
in their,
that's,
it's in their court.
it's in their court.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where that one sits.
All right.
So I guess the only other note I wanted to add to this particular structure is I've been working with the township prior to this being opened up for construction or began construction on this structure. I'm working with the township, Preston Township. I told them we wanted one road that we would help maintain while this structure is under construction for local traffic. So we've been hauling gravel to 201st Avenue, which is about a half-mile north of this structure, in preparation for this construction, because I know that in the past we've had some issues up there. And I'm also working with Hamlin County, because our County Road 5 goes up into Hamlin County, and we're working together to get that traffic to the local traffic to the back to the state highways. The regular traffic will be detoured on 81 or the interstate, but the local traffic will be diverted on to those two roads, County Road 5 and 201. Is there any questions with that? I don't have anything in writing, but working with the township. So with that, I'll get that advertised here as stated in my report. On 8/25, I met with Oslo Township officials for the culvert program. Went out there and we looked at two structures, and we'll be looking at those in future meetings. If that's something that we still want to move forward with. I know they didn't get it in time for the application deadline, but I guess I met with them just in an effort to show good faith on my part that I would assume that you guys would still want to work with them.
Do they
Yeah.
do they qualify?
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, it's not right now, really isn't inside a window of time. We're kind of getting to the end of the year where work needs to be done and then claims need to be submitted so it can be reimbursed with this year's budget. But then as these things come up, we're letting them know, if you can get the work done this year, reach out to us and we'll still bring it in front of the commission. So you'll probably see these at a future meeting.
And like Stacy mentioned, I did mention it to them that they're both to be completed this year, and that sounded like they had a contractor lined up and everything regardless, so. Finally, 8/26, we had the Brookings Fire Department bring out a ladder truck to do some work on our highway shop roof. We patched up some areas in our flat roof that had been leaking with the snow and And the heavy rains we had last year, we could just never get up there this year with the dry spell we had. We got the roof dried off and got that product applied, and it rained this weekend and proved that our roof held. So we did some good there. And I want to thank the Brookings Fire Department. I know Michelle put it on the Facebook page for me, and just want to thank them for that.
All right. That completes your report?
Yeah, other than that, I guess that's this letter for the advertisements for the Bruce structure. So yeah, that completes my report unless you guys got questions.
Any questions? Not? Thank you very much, Brian. We'll go to Marty for the sheriff's report.
Anyway, good morning.
Morning.
I'm not going to go through a lot with the detention stats. 30 current inmates right now, 93 in the 24/7 program. Prior to COVID, we had 157, and so we're kind of, so far that's staying down, which is manageable to some degree for the jail. Just briefly talk about, they have moved a construction trailer by the sheriff's office, and so next Tuesday is D-Day. In other words, they'll start demolishing stuff D-Day. This week they're doing locates and finding out where all the natural gas lines and all this stuff. And the company that you guys went with, or the construction, they're really easy to work with. So they really, you guys got a good one, I think. They're bending over backwards to make sure that the jail is functional, and what's nice is they've done jails before, so they know the importance of things, so they're really easy to work with and so forth. Just to briefly talk a little bit about parking and what we've done so far, is that Bart goes to the Presbyterian Church, so I sent him over there to let them know what's going on. They had no issues. Over in the 21 building, we're going to take about 10 parking spots on that very east side, and they're going to put a fence up, but they won't go into the asphalt. They got a freestanding type holes and stuff. I don't think that's even going to be an issue because during the winter time, a lot of times they push all that snow to that side and take those parking spots anyway. And I talked with Brian, and I think he's okay with it, aren't you? He's going to help and make sure we get the snow out of there and so forth, and he's done that before. So I don't think that's going to be an issue over there. And with church not going on, normally on Sundays is probably when that lot's the fullest in there anyway, but I go through there every morning, and normally there's nobody parked on that east side, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Also, the old church lot across the road, we measured that out. We're able to get 10 cars parked in there, 5 to the east and 5 to the west. Over in the south parking lot of the courthouse, we freed up one more parking spot. There's 21 parking spots on the south side of the courthouse, because we're losing about 9, 10 on the north side of the courthouse, where sometimes the judges, that we're losing 9 or 10 spots there. On 6th Avenue, there's about 48 spots on 6th Avenue, and that's not counting, I think there's 3 handicap spots over there. But yesterday there was about 40 in court, I believe, and there was no issue with parking. And so, if we can keep magistrate court down, which I think they want to because of distancing and that, we shouldn't have any issues. So, and I talked to a couple neighbors and said if there was any parking issues to notify me. So I talked to Jacob Mills from 21 Building and also ICAP, and let him know what's in, and the Mills had no issue with us taking that east side because there's plenty of parking for his people in the building. So unless you have any questions about that. The other thing is we're just busy with school. I don't know if kids were late to school. We had 2 accidents yesterday, injury accidents. They were both 16 years old, just minor, going too fast on these township roads and so forth. Lots of complaints on speeding prior to even school. It just seems like, I don't know why, all of a sudden. Problems with salespeople, door-to-door sales. I think we got it under control. Had complaints everywhere. What they do is they go in and get 1 permit, and then there's 5 or 6 that are in there selling. Well, if there's 5 or 6 selling, they each need to have a permit. But I think we got a handle on it because they're no longer in the county. So anyway, any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none.
Okay. Oh, the biggest thing, I want to spend money. Oh, jeepers, that's what it's going to take. I think we make the courthouse really happy if we put fobs, and maybe even the state's attorney will be happy if we put fobs on that east and west door. Got a safe and secure estimate to just do the west door, the farthest west door. It would be $2,585. It's a little spendy. A lot of it's $75 an hour for labor. A lot of it's labor. If they do both the east and the west door, and it'd be nice to get the east door done too, between the sheriff's office and the courthouse. I've gotten keys for that, and they've given each department keys, but it'd be easier to do the fobs. To do both doors is $3,820.87. Okay. Stacy's building fund is broke. Okay. I still have $12,000 in the sheriff's office building fund. I'm willing to take that almost $4,000 out of my building fund. The only thing that I'm planning for right now is a drinking fountain. And so, unless there's some emergency, something that happens, but I'm willing to take that out of my $12,000. But I think we'll make a lot of people happy. You know, we're 2 years out, and I think it'll just help if we get them doors. So I'd like to get a consensus from you to go ahead and move on. The thing is, I'd like to tell them, and I'm not trying to pressure you, it's like a used car salesman, there's other buyers. He's Safe and Secure is really busy right now, so I want to get him scheduled.
Okay.
Marty,
Any
who
questions?
would have the fobs?
Who would have the fobs? State's Attorney's Office, all the employees could come in that door. It'd be an employee door, that it'd be an employee door, not a customer door.
And the fob would open either the east or the west?
They'd open all the doors at the courthouse, yes.
And are those fobs, so if an employee leaves, they turn in the fob, and those are not something or can they be shut off by Safe and Secure? I'm asking about the security, if we're gonna
Yeah.
have sounds like we might have 30 of them out there.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be any worse than it is right now. They're fobs, they carry, everybody carries fobs now. So we just add those doors to those fobs. So all the employees have fobs now. And that's controlled all by computer. When someone leaves, we shut that fob off. We can tell who comes in. If someone comes in at 10 o'clock at night, we can check the computer to see who's coming in and leaving and so forth. So we're not even going to increase fobs. You know, everybody's got a fob. We would just add those doors to that, if that makes sense. And their ID will get them in too.
So it's safe and secure. Without objection?
Go ahead.
Got
All
your
right.
consensus.
You guys are okay. You notice my attitude has changed with the jail now, huh?
Good. All right, we have a 9 o'clock scheduled item. It's our public hearing for the fiscal year 2021. We'll have to have an action on resolution 20-50 and adoption of the 2021 provisional budget for Brookings County, South Dakota. So we'll need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that would wish to speak on our provisional budget? Any comments? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for comments from the commissioners. Any comments?
I'm just curious if Stacy had anything to add.
No. What we have here is, we're presenting you with a balanced budget for 21. There will be some minor changes due to some, the centrally assessed utilities. Is that correct, Vicky? Between now and September 22nd, when we do the annual budget, it
Yes.
won't be, it'll be pretty minor.
Right, we did get those in last week, so I haven't done
Yeah.
the final calculations, but yes.
But what this does right now, this is actually a balanced general fund budget without using cash reserves, basically, either in excess or needing to spend down that. We are going to see about 200,000, you can see this under cash applied in the highway fund. We're going to increase fund balance a little bit there. And then over in the 24/7 fund, that's spending down some of that fund balance. That fund balance has grown over the years. You have to spend that money on the 24/7 program. So what that 37,710 is spending down that fund balance in the 24/7 fund. Otherwise, this is a balanced fiscal year 2021 budget for you.
Do we have any bridges or any large projects that you think that will be finishing next year that will need to come out of here that we haven't planned for? I mean,
So anything that we budgeted for next year is considered in this budget. Now, if there were some things this year that didn't get paid, that's not accounted for in here, but we'd have to do it would roll into fund balance at year end. We'd have to do a supplemental budget in 21 in order to bring those dollars back in and spend them. So any anticipated projects that Brian had and was discussed at the when we did the budget planning back in June, that's accounted for in this budget.
but it's not levied for.
Correct.
Because we're
Right.
going to pay it out of the money from this year's.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, if there's anything that goes unpaid at year end for things here in 20, we would have to do a supplemental budget and bring that fund balance back into the budget so we can spend it.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? Any comments? If not, we'll call the roll.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma? Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll go back to department head reports, and we'll have Vicky's report from finance. And so now if we have questions on the budget, we can ask Vicky, even though we've approved it.
Morning.
Morning.
Like I said before, we did get the centrally assessed utilities in last week, so we are going to be putting all that together. I don't think it looks like much of a change with the budget, but it will affect it for, a few places, so we will make that change, so we have that ready for the adopted budget at the end of the year, or at the end of this month. And I've got contacted by Tom Grimond, and I got a bunch of paperwork done for him so he can complete his paperwork. So he needed some statistical information on the levies, on taxes, that type of information. So that has all been given to him, so he can keep on working with that. You probably saw in the papers that the Q&A on elections and absentee ballots were in multiple papers, and so that has been, we've been getting good comments on that. The convention that you are all going to from our office, I'm sending Lori and Jennifer, and also Jenna will be going to the election part of the convention. I'm going to stay back and kind of help out because we're short-staffed at the office, so. And we're starting to get levy requests from the cities and schools, so we'll be starting on that process of getting those levies set, so busy doing that. There's still been quite a few titles transfers. We've been busy, but I think it's finally starting to level off, so we're hoping for that anyway. And we've been sending in for the CARES Act, those claims. We've received about $108,000 back on that. So we've gotten, I think, 3 different deposits totaling about $108,000. So they are paying those pretty quickly. So we keep submitting claims to that. And I think that's pretty much everything that we've been doing in our office, unless there's any questions.
Any questions, Commissioner?
The 108,000, what kinds of things are we getting reimbursed for?
It's, mainly there hasn't been any salary, well, I think that maybe I take that back. Bob's salary and the emergency management part of the salary is included in that. And it's just for a few months, we can only do it as we've paid out. And then, like different cleaning supplies that we've put in for COVID and some of the things that Mike got for us, the sneeze guards and that, we've been reimbursed for that. We have been reimbursed for some of the advertising we put in when we were, closed during the COVID and kind of explaining how to do that. We've been reimbursed for some of those expenses too. So anything COVID related we've sent in. They look at it right away. If they have any questions or problems, we may have to submit it or submit more documentation, but we've just, been submitting everything that we've done up until this point, so.
And then one other question, you said you're short-staffed. Are you,
Well, short-staffed during that week when we're going to the convention. One is on vacation, and with the other 3 being gone, I'm gonna stay back, so there's enough in the office.
but all your positions are filled?
All of
right?
our positions are full, it's just during that week,
Thank you.
or 2 days, basically. Okay?
No other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you, Vicky. Robert?
Good morning. On the 19th, we had a safety committee meeting. On the 20th, we had a local emergency planning committee via Zoom. On the 24th, we had ad hoc drainage committee. I'm sure Commissioner Pierce will have more input with Commissioner Jensen, but we took a close look at all the culverts was one of the main things that we looked at. And I think we figured out that we've got a good set of culvert layer, a GIS layer on the culverts for the location. One thing that's missing, a key component, is the diameter of the culverts. So it is possible later this year that we may have a small funding request to have East Dakota Water Development District assist us in working mainly with the townships. If we can't get the culvert sizes from the townships, we may have to send a team out with a measuring tape and get some of the culverts. But we're going to contact the townships first of all to see if they've got the diameters of their culverts and start from there. But that's where the ad hoc drainage committee, we're ongoing. We've got another meeting scheduled for next month, or I guess this month now. We had a tornado warning I came in the night of the 27th, but the tornado warning went out the morning of the 28th at 2:15 a.m. You can check that little key fob to see what time I checked in. Basically, what happens on tornado warnings and these big thunderstorm warnings is they've been happening at 2:15 a.m. in the morning, so at night, when it's bedtime, there's nothing going on, I go to bed. Dispatch will call me once the storms start to hit like Kingsbury County, start getting towards us, I'll get a call from dispatch. That saves me from having to set my cot up in my office and sleep there since I'm so close. But we've had a handle on them. I come in the office, I set the warnings out. I typically put the first warning or alert out from my home computer, and then I come in and use the office computers for the rest of it. This storm did not require an iPause alert because it was not the type of storm where we could actually. It was mainly up between White and Bruce and those areas there. So I don't think the iPause would have. We wasn't tracking it, and even now today after this meeting's over, I'm going up in that area where the storm was. The National Weather Service wants me to do some ground truthing to see if there's any evidence of rotation up there. They had some stuff identified on the radar screen, but we haven't gotten any reports of it on the ground. So they do want me to go up and just take a drive around and see if I can find any evidence of a tornado up in that area. And that's between White and Bruce and heading up towards Lake Hendricks and Hamlin County, or Doyle County. Severe thunderstorms again hit us on Sunday night, and this storm actually had a tornado in Han County. Unfortunately, there was a casualty on that one. By the time it hit us, it had weakened quite heavily. Typically, when I get these calls from dispatch to come in the office, the first thing I do is I call the National Weather Service in Sioux Falls. They've got their forecasters on 24 hours a day. I call Sioux Falls National Weather Service and get the latest update on rotation. That's what the killer is in South Dakota, is that rotation of the storms causing the tornadoes. And there have been times in the past that I haven't came into the office when there's severe thunderstorms rolling through because there's no rotation. The one Sunday night was a different story. They had a tornado spotted, like I said, did some damage. And the same thing on Thursday night. There was rotation. That one actually spawned 3 different tornadoes before it came to us. So it just, when it comes to emergency management, it's a case-by-case situation on what we do. Thursday, I'm going down to the BCOAC to work with Mr. Huber on safety plans. I'll be attending the 2 days of the South Dakota Commissioners Association in Sioux Falls. I do plan on driving back and forth. National Preparedness Month started this morning. I was on KBRK 1430 radio. The month's got 4 weeks. This week it's make a plan. Next week it's make a kit. Following weeks, prepare for disasters. And the last week of the month is teach youth about preparedness. And I plan on having an event in this building on a Friday. It's either going to be the 11th, the 18th, or the 25th. I have to talk to the Commission Department Director and get permission, I guess, from whoever runs the building to have the event we do plan on having it on a Friday, and it's going to be prepackaged giveaways, little juice boxes and cookies and prepackaged things, and we're going to set up our survival kits or winter. Usually we do it for winter survival kits. I'll bring up what I keep in my county truck over the winter time, and typically what I keep in my car at home and stuff like that, and show people how to prepare for winter driving, sleeping bags and shovels. And our big thing this year, if you was at our safety picnic, is 5-gallon bucket. That's going to be the one I'm going to push the hardest when I go on like the radio and stuff like that. Other than that, I'll get you guys the date as soon as I set it, but I haven't had a chance to talk on a date. That's all I got. I'll be back in after the next guy to talk about our local emergency plan for next year. Any questions?
Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you. Dustin, BCOAC report.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
It's been a lot busier since college students came back, so that's been nice. Bow season's right around the corner, so the archery range is getting used quite a bit. Attendance, we had 122 people in the archery range and 91 in the gun range since our last commission meeting. Upcoming events, we have a Wildlife Federation meeting this Friday, and then we're going to flip that over into a wedding reception that night, so we'll see how that goes. This Sunday, we have an enhanced concealed carry class. Since college has came back, I've been keeping track of how many memberships we sold, and we've sold 25, and I've asked them how I can get the word out, and I need to probably get in the wellness center or the union. Due to COVID, I don't think they're doing a lot of things up there, so might look into that next year. I just wanted to give another update on the generator hookup. I contacted Brian with AMP, and he's still waiting on parts. So he told me 6 weeks, but we're probably hopefully we can get it done by October-ish. That's all I had, unless you guys had any questions.
Any questions?
How full is your class for your enhanced concealed carry this week?
We have 11.
So, and normally it's 12?
Normally it's 12. Yep.
Usually those happen with what frequency?
The first Sunday of every month is what we have them planned. I started to call everybody just to confirm, because some people sign up probably 4 months in advance and then they forget about it. So I've been calling people and getting them off the list and putting it on our Facebook page, trying to make sure we get 12 every time.
And then do most people come with their own firearm for that class? Okay.
Yep. For the enhanced, Michael Kilmer, he wants them familiar with their own gun, but there has been a few people that have rented our guns as well.
I've heard a lot of people asking about enhanced permits in the last month. So.
There's been, we get quite a few calls, and I normally direct them to Kilmer. He answers most of those questions. Yep.
Super, thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions, Commissioner Pierce?
What was the deal with the wildlife cameras that are going over to the sheriff's office?
That was before my time. They were purchased, and I have no need for them. So Marty can use them, I guess.
Great.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Dustin.
Thanks.
And Mike was here and left, so we don't have a report from Mike. At this point, we'll move into our regular business. Item A is an action to approve agreement number 20-47, a Safety Office of Emergency Management 2021 Local Emergency Management Performance Grant. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. And a report from Bob.
Yes, part of the agreement on the local emergency management performance grant is that I brief the elected officials on the plan the year before the plan takes effect. And this is the final quarter of the federal fiscal year. It goes by fiscal year. So all we're going to do is just go down it real fast. The first thing we're going to talk about is Exhibit C, and that's the emergency management areas, the concentration. It's administration, preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. And it's got a series of things under it. Each quarter, it's broken down by quarters, and there's certain criteria that has to be submitted to the State of South Dakota Office of Emergency Management. And it's broken down on Section 3, and I have to do 8521, and that's the claims expenses that come straight from the finance office. They pay 75% of my salary, 75% of all my benefits that I get, and then 25% of my deputies, Richard Hoggins. I am required to, and the reason for that is because it specifically states in the local agreement that if I'm not 100%, then my timesheet has to show the 75% that I work emergency management and the 25% that I don't work emergency management. So that's how my timesheet's set up. And then Richard's timesheet is set up 25% emergency management and 75% non-emergency management. Next is the quarterly work plan report. That has been a little simplified this year. Last year, there was like 12 bullets on each submittal. Now it's basically left up, you tell them what you do under each one of those categories, such as response. It would be over the weekend when I came in for the tornado warnings, I'd write that up as a bullet point and submit it during the report. During a disaster, my hours can be adjusted, but it can only be submitted under one. I can't get paid by Department of Homeland Security, which is FEMA, and Department of Transportation if we do something with them. So it all has to be under one federal claim, and the way it works with the 75-25, that's all cut and dry. We know where the money's coming from. It's gone to a single signature sheet. Some of the older commissioners may remember you used to have to sign my quarterly report. Now it's a single sheet where the chairman of the county commission signs it, the finance officer signs it, and then I sign it, and that attests that everything within that report that I submit is accurate. And they reimburse us 1 through 3. They can send us one check after 3 quarters, and then the final check would be done. They have been in the past doing it quarterly, so I don't know. That's above my pay grade. And there's certain documents I have to submit, such as if we get pay raises at the end of the year, or if Richard gets a pay step during the year, I have to fill that paperwork out and submit that in a timely manner within 30 days. Those are called personnel action forms. If you fire me and you get a new person in, all you have to do to stay within the state and local agreements is notify the Office of Emergency Management director, and it would be allowed. Inside the document, there is a schedule of required hours. It's broken down by percentage, so typically I go to the column that says 75%. I know how many hours. I know such as October 20, I have to have 126 hours of emergency management time. And that's how that's done. And then Richard, of course, will go under the 25%. So that's basically, they list what documents they want. I fill the documents out, submit it. Some of the documents require county commissioner signatures, some of them don't. And I keep this board as informed as possible, and we give you, this is an actual briefing on the actual report itself, but I also give you typically every commission meeting, if not every other commission meeting, an update on my office activities. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Pierce?
The last time we looked at this,
Yes, ma'am.
on Article, excuse me, it's Exhibit B, there are 30 different federal laws that we say we are in compliance on. And I asked the question, who looks at that and makes sure that we're in compliance? And I don't recall that we had anybody at that time that was watching that. Do we have anybody now that's watching that?
I would have to beg to differ, ma'am. I started in 2003, and I've had, these agreements are the same for any federal grant that my office has
Exactly.
received, whether it's Federal Pipeline Administration or Federal Emergency Management.
There-
And yes, we do look at that, and we do have to abide by each one of those rules. And that's why just recently, it was a gray area on that conflict of interest that we had. We felt that we had a conflict of interest policy that was accurate, but it was decided after someone else reviewed it that we wanted a stronger conflict of interest policy, and you guys passed one last month. So yes, we do look at those. We don't just arbitrarily sign something, at least I don't.
So all 30 of these federal laws that we say we're in compliance with, you look at and understand and know what
I
those are?
understand the concept of the law. I don't have a law book in my office where,
Right.
you know, if we go to the Age Discrimination Act of 1975, Article 4, I don't have that whole article in my thing, but I mean, I sit there and I read, recipients must comply with the requirements of the Age Discrimination Act as codified, and that's where the human resource, you know, that particular column falls under human resources.
That was an easy one, Bob. Okay, for example, when it says that we're complying with SAFECOM, and this is Article, actually, I think it's 31, so maybe there's more than 30 in there. What is SAFECOM? Does somebody know what that is? Are we sure we're in compliance? I mean, those are the questions I've got, and I know that this is attached to every federal grant that we get. And do we have somebody that's making sure, and if Bob says he's doing that, making sure that we are in compliance with each one of these different federal laws, fine. I just want to be sure we know that we're in compliance with every one of them.
Ma'am, yeah, under Article 31, it's the guidance for emergency communication grants.
Okay.
And that's what our PSAP, which the county commission is part of the PSAP. It's, you guys are chairman of it at certain times. For us, and those are the technical standards that ensure enhanced interoperability communications. And if you remember, I asked for a new radio and got a federal grant, and it had to be P25 compliant. That's your SAFECOM requirement. If it wasn't P25 compatible, it wouldn't qualify under this article.
So, just to be sure I'm understanding, Bob, what you're saying is that you look at each one of these when we sign some type of federal thing, and you're confident that we're in compliance on all of them?
Yes, ma'am. I would never leave my employers out to dry.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bob? Any other comments or questions on the motion? Not, we'll call the roll.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Just real quick too, has to initial this for Bob. He has to, so that you know you heard his talk just now. It's coming now.
I'll pass that on. As we move to item B, is an action to approve agreement number 20-48, a native unprocessed material agreement for Bound Pit. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Comments or questions on this or an explanation?
This is just material that we're gonna be looking to use for shouldering. It's primarily clay. And just wanted to have an agreement set in place with the bounds.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Commissioner Pierce?
I had a question. It says that it's agreement between Brookings County Highway Department and these people. I don't think we normally have Brookings County Highway Department be the party to the contract. I think it's the Brookings County Commission. But Dan was going to look at that. I don't know what you found out, Dan.
Well, I was going to ask Stacy if we've listed Brookings County Highway Department in previous contracts. I don't know if you know that off the top
I
of your
don't
head.
know off the top of my
Okay.
head. There probably has been some that this particular type of agreement we've not had before.
The only thing I would point to, Leanne, is in that first paragraph where it says here and after referred to as county. I think that covers the intent and that it's not the highway department, it's actually the county. And then county is referenced throughout the remaining portion of the contract. So I think it's fine. But going forward, if you just want Brookings County listed in contracts, that's fine too. But for purposes of this one, I think the way it's read in the remaining portions of the contract, I think it's sufficient. So,
But going forward, it would never be the Highway Department. It would be the county.
Okay, and we are going to vote to approve or not approve. So.
Ryan, is there any set, amount, tonnage that you,
I didn't set an amount, because if you read in here towards the lower portion, this agreement shall be valid through January 1, 2022. So, I mean, we're looking at, getting a portion of this work done next year also.
yep.
All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Pierce.
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C is an action to approve agreement number 20-49, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by the city of Elkton and Elkton Township. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any comments or explanations?
As you guys know, they are well underway with their water and sewer project out there, and this is for dewatering the northern portion of this project, so they're going to be boring underneath of our County Road 33 to tie into their existing tile that they tied into last year.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Any comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item D is an action to approve agreement number 20-50, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by the city of Elkton and Elkton Township. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second, and
Same
same
thing.
situation, okay? Any other questions or comments? Any comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item E is an action to approve a request to fill vacancy for 2 temporary election workers in the finance office. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments or reports?
Currently, the board did approve our office to hire 3 temporary election workers for the general election, which you did approve, and we did hire 3. I am confident with the 3 that we've hired, but with the anticipation of the general election being very busy, there are a lot of behind-the-scene details that happen. And so I would like to just hire 2 more, and I'm not sure, Vicky, if we'll, or Stacy, I'm not sure how we'll do this, but they're more or less just going to sit there just in case we do need to hire 2 more. So Vicky, I don't know if you have more I would rather be more proactive and not, in case one of the current temporary election workers falls ill, or if they need time off, or if they can't come for whatever reason. It would just be nice to have this already ready to go than have to sit and wait. So.
Yep, I agree with what Jenna said. It's more of a precaution in case somebody, like we had last year, at the last minute decides they cannot work or they're going to be gone for a week or two. This is just kind of a safeguard in place so we have the ability to hire somebody else.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions, Commissioner Pierce?
I think it's a great idea. Have you guys discussed any potential with kind of the outbreak of COVID going on? I mean, that could happen to multiple election workers the day
Exactly.
before. Is there anything that maybe kind of a plan that would put together that says, okay, we have these two on call, but what happens if 3 or 4, who's coming in, who's going to fill in, and how's that going to work? Because, we can't just turn around and say, yeah, we're going to postpone for 48 hours until we get everybody quarantined or something, because it seems to be happening a lot more regularly and a lot less without notice type of thing. So
Yeah, Jenna's got a whole list of people that she's got on hold, and, so she is doing that right now.
okay.
And we're going to continue to do that and keep that up to date. But yes, we want to make sure we have enough workers. And we have had people that have called and volunteered as well, which we've never had before. So I think people are aware that that is going on and appreciate the people that are calling to say that they will be poll workers or they will volunteer wherever they're needed. We've had, I don't know how many, but a few of those as well. So we are keeping track of everybody and keeping track of those people. So if we need them or when we need them, we have them to help us.
And with these additional temporary election workers, I just want to point it out to the folks that are listening online, that currently we have about 3,100 absentee ballots going out. So currently 3,100 people have requested that our office mail them a ballot. And so right now our office has been prepping those envelopes. And there's an outside envelope and there's an inside envelope and there's instructions that go inside of them. And so we've been doing that currently. But I just want to let the people know that, that if you have requested a ballot and that we do mail it to you, you do have that option that if you decide that you don't want to put it in the mail, if you don't want to utilize the postal, you can drop that off to us, or you can just discard that ballot and come in early to our office. We'll have an area set up on first floor if you wanted to vote early that way. So just for those that are listening, that is an option, that just because we mail you your ballot, it's not that you have to, if you decide to do it a different way, you still have that option.
Additionally, they can show up at the poll day to vote
They could also show up at the polling place. Yep.
on election day. Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions? Commissioner Pierce?
When we set up for early voting on first floor, how many people staff that at a time?
So right now we'll have, we've set it up a little bit differently. And I know in the past, you've maybe remembered that we've always set up in the conference room right next to, in between the finance office and the equalization office, but we've changed it a little bit due to the COVID that I have 2 people, typically we have 1. We had 1 for the primary, but I anticipate that the general election will be much busier. So we'll have 2 of our temporary election workers working out in the lobby area, checking in people. And then I'll have 1 temporary election worker working inside that conference room, and they're doing a lot of the behind the scenes work. And there's a lot of things that go into the process and the day that people just aren't aware of. So yeah, I'm confident with the 3, but like I said, it would be nice to hire 2 additional ones just in case we do end up getting a lot busier. I will be helping as well. So yeah.
Additional questions? Richard?
Mr. Chair, not so much a question, but I'd just like to say again for the listening public that early voting starts on September 18th, And we really encourage people to come to the city-county building and early vote if they know what they want to do on their ballot, because there won't be a crowd. On a year where we have a presidential election, we have about 13,000 people that vote in Brookings County. And if people are concerned about safety issues because of COVID, they can come in anytime after September 18th. There generally is not a line for early voting, and they can cast their ballot. And I just want to assure everybody that what happens on Election Day is that Jenna and her staff, they start counting those early ballots and the mailed-in ballots at 7 p.m. that night. So those are the ballots that get counted, and they get counted first. And if people are concerned about where they're sitting on their voter registration, they can call our finance office and get that information. Or if you're handy with the computer and you go to the South Dakota Secretary of State website and go to elections, you can look up, it's really easy to do, I did it myself last week, you can look up your voter registration information, make sure it's all correct. And we really encourage people, if it's been years since you looked at any of that, to look at your voter registration information and make sure everything's good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So you can fill a vacancy. Item F is an action to approve a request to fill vacancy for 2 part-time membership assistants at the BCOAC. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none?
We've had a couple of membership assistants leave, so this is just to fill those spaces.
Okay.
And just another comment too, I think part of it too is cross-training, that eventually they'll be graduating, and to be able to have people on staff that can just step in and replace them makes a big difference too, rather than just starting from scratch right before they graduate. So I think it's a good idea to have more people to be able to call on, similar to what we're dealing with the elections, similar to here, that if somebody does fall sick, they can call more people up, and it's not just 3 or 4 part-timers. So expanding that group of part-time employees, I think, is a good thing. So.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item G is an action to declare a Smith & Wesson rental gun as surplus property to be disposed of. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any comments? Any questions on that one? Hearing none. No comments. We'll proceed to vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item H is an action to transfer 4 trail cameras from the BCOAC to the Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. I guess we already heard some comments and the usefulness of it with the Sheriff's Department. Part of being safe and secure, I'm sure, at the Sheriff's Department. Hearing no other comments or questions, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 9 is our Commission Department Director's report.
As part of my report, we resolutions that will be discussed during the individual association caucuses on Monday night at convention, and then voted on at the membership meeting on Tuesday at convention. So those are there if you want to take a look at those. Also included with my report was just a notice. I think I'd already sent this out a while ago. I believe this is scheduled for tonight. There's TIF districts in the city, and they're having a hearing on those. Also, just kind of as follow-up, we had that presentation, probably 6 weeks ago maybe. The gentleman from Reno Dry came in and discussed the placing some a system in the basement of the courthouse to help dry that out. I think that price tag came in at about $10,000, give or take, maybe a little bit less than that. We did have the HVAC expense, which did use up the majority of the budget for the courthouse for this year, but just wanted to gauge again the commission's interest in that project. The one gentleman has been reaching out to me periodically, asking kind of where we stand on that. So do you have any thoughts or comments and information I can pass along? No?
I did talk to Steve Ewing from Pipestone County about their experience in the lower level of their courthouse. He said it's been working great. It does take the 3 years that they say it's going to improvement in the condition of the basement of the Pipestone County Courthouse. So I would be in favor of making sure that we make it a priority, if not in this budget year, in next budget year.
Any other thoughts on that?
I don't have a problem with the next budget year. Do we know if any of the improvements we made to HVAC will take moisture out of the courthouse also?
No.
Okay. It helps in my house anyway when it's running.
This is that rising damp that's in the basement that has already been, into the structure itself in the basement, and new HVAC, although it'll maybe help moving forward with it a little bit, it's not going to take what's there and remove it.
So I would ask you, your recommendation would be to consider it for next year's budget because our expenses this year have tried to budget up?
Unless I can do some creative budgeting and come up with it yet at the end of 20, I can take a look as we get towards year end and see where we're at.
Okay. Is that adequate
If you
for
give me
everybody?
if you give me that direction to kind of keep an eye on things and see where we're at.
Any objection to that?
I think that makes sense.
No? Okay.
There's your directive.
Other than that, just the upcoming dates. Of course, Monday is Labor Day, so the offices will be closed. There's a Zoom meeting on Wednesday, the 9th. I had given you information in that, I think, at one of the last meetings. Convention again, September 13th through the 15th, down in Sioux Falls. And then our county tour is scheduled for the 29th. We'll be leaving from the highway department at 8:30. I did get a beta bus lined up for that. If you have specific sites, locations, things you want to look at, why don't you go ahead and, just shoot me an email or something with some of those things, and then Brian and I can work on coming up with a list of stops for us to make that day. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Stacy and or Brian, if they're planning to do bid opening on that structure on the 29th, do we need to be done by a 2 o'clock time frame?
Yeah, I didn't remember that. Yeah. Stacy and I, we might look at adjusting that. But
Peachy.
yeah,
Good catch.
good catch.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
That's probably more important. That's all you have. All right, we'll move on to the state's attorney's office report.
Nothing new to report.
Okay, we're going to move on to commissioners' reports. Commissioner Pierce, we'll start with you.
On August 20th, I attended the special with the rest of you where we dealt with issues regarding the jail. On August 24th, we had our drainage meeting that Bob made reference to and Brian made reference to. Jim provided us with all the information from GSI that set out where we've got culverts. We really don't have a good culvert inventory for the county, as Bob indicated. We're working on that. We think culverts might be part of our problem on drainage, because if water isn't flowing through the culverts, then they aren't doing what their job is. And we're looking at that, and we're looking at some of the natural drainways, and if there's any way we can move forward on that. We're still just really investigating. We have asked Jay to kind of come back and tell us how other people are dealing with some of these issues if he can. And we're moving forward, but that was our first meeting since COVID, so It was a good meeting. On August 26th, attended the BEDC meeting. I would anticipate that before the end of next week, that there will be an offer made to someone for Al's position, and that there will be a public announcement on that. I want to talk a little bit more about elections, and I've been talking some to groups about elections. I myself think it's important where we can, maybe to encourage people to early vote. And I'm making it my personal goal every time I'm at any kind of group thing and they say, what's going on with the county? I'm saying early voting starts September 18th. We really encourage people to come in to cut down on that 13,000 on election day itself because of the social distancing issues and some of those kinds of things. So if you're willing to, when you're making your reports to different organizations, to really encourage people, and if you're talking to a business owner, maybe ask them to encourage their workers to come in and early vote, because the early voting will cut down a lot on the problems with COVID and the election. So that's huge. That'd be all I have to report.
Thank you. Commissioner Boersma.
On Tuesday, August 18th, I was at the city council meeting and study session. Kind of listened to the conversation regarding the dismissal of the Supreme Court case. The 19th and the 21st, I was at both of the BEDC candidate interviews virtually. And then Thursday, August 20th, the special commission meeting as well. So that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Krugman?
Yeah, I was at the special commission meeting. Also on the 24th, we had the BCOAC advisory board meeting. A lot of the stuff on today's agenda was coming out of there, and so everything seems to be moving smoothly out there. We're getting a lot of good traffic, very positive momentum out there and stuff, so it's good. Hospital board meeting was that evening, and they had their investment council update, which has recovered pretty well from early downturns in March and April, are back up, and so they are doing well out there and really working hard to be prepared for any major problems with COVID and everything like that. So anyway, that was a hospital board meeting on the 24th, and then I had a beta meeting, Zoom meeting on the 26th, and basically doing standard procedures for our meetings. Again, they're working through with their COVID compliance and different things like that, but they're still in the process of working with the Brookings School District on the garage deal. There wasn't too much to update there, so they're just moving along, trying to get as many people to where they need to go in a safe manner. So that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Jensen.
On the 19th, past meeting, we had kind of an overview of the intersections, driveway access design. I think there'll be more coming forward from Jackie in the future here. On the 20th, I attended the special commission meeting on the jail. On the 24th, had an advisory board meeting out at the Outdoor Adventure Center. Seems like it's going pretty good out there. Also that day, I attended the ad hoc drainage meeting. I was asked by a township supervisor to tag along, I guess, and it was interesting what issues they're kind of looking at, and a lot of it had to do with culverts that, like Leanne said, that were put in and probably have silted in or whatever over the years and probably need to be cleaned out. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I attended the LEPC Zoom meeting that Bob had touched on, or as a listener than a participant on that one. The 20th, also the special commission meeting on the jail agreement, and a couple of COVID calls. One on the 26th was the last one we got. Becoming less and less people involved in some of the calls, but the information is still provided to us that we need to have, and Bob does a good job in keeping up on those things. So that's the end of my report. We have an executive session. Yeah.
SDCL 125-2-3, consulting with legal counsel.
Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll take a 5-minute recess. We'll be in executive session at 10 a.m.